Well, yesterday, her parents called, Kierra's parents called and reported her missing. She hadn't come home the night before and hadn't shown up at work. And they said she was pretty responsible about being to work on time. They started looking for her. They couldn't find her. They called us and reported her missing. We talked to some friends of hers, a boyfriend or ex-boyfriend. We're not certain what his status is right now. And he told us that he had last seen her at the intersection of East Capitol and Riverside Drive. And so in a search like this, you always start at the last known place and then spiral out, work your way away from the center. So we started, nobody seemed to know where she was. She was just gone. And we did search until midnight last night. We had our SWAT team out and our dog, Canine Buzz, and we searched the wooded area. There's a lot of woods down in there. And then this morning at 9 a.m. we started and searched some more. We were just finishing up our search, and we went back and we're recontacting individuals. We went to a residence on Church Street, and the officers got permission to search that again, and they found her hiding in an attic at that residence.
What brought you back to that residence?
Everything seemed to go back to this one individual, the boyfriend. So we just keep hitting on that. We assume, for this kind of situation, you assume the worst, and you pray for the best. So we work this as if it were an abduction or some sort of, she'd come to some harm. You always have to do that. And it turned out that she was just hiding from her parents and the police.
Do you know why she was hiding?
I don't have that information.
Okay, and it was the boyfriend's house?
She was at a house on Church Street. I don't know if that's the boyfriend's house or not. I know there was a young man taken with her down to the Pringer Juvenile Detention Center for further questioning. I'm not sure what's become of that. From this point on, they're both in juvenile custody, and then we're pretty much done with it, and juvenile will take care of the if there are any charges on a juvenile scale or not.
So do you know, just kind of, I know that you said there was a young gentleman taken out, and you said that it kept going back to that house. Do you know, can you confirm what her relationship was to someone living in that house? Like why she picked that house?
That was a friend's house,
friend's.
and this was the name that kept coming up. And we were able to locate her and did a really thorough search. We'd searched the house once before and did not find her. So we're confident she wasn't in there the first time we searched. And so we went back and asked for permission to search again. Everywhere we went, there seemed to be dead ends, with the abduction type, a small neighborhood like this, people see stuff. And this morning we did a door-to-door, more thorough door-to-door canvass of the area, and no one had seen her over there. So we started hitting the places where we'd already been and double-checking.
Do you expect any charges to be filed against either her or the young man who was taken into custody?
That'll be determined. We're doing cleanup now. Just there's some loose ends we want to tie up, and it's not been determined at this time whether there'll be charges or not.
What kind of charges could be filed?
Just a runaway juvenile. It's pretty limited on what we can do. Had her parents not complained, there's no law against hiding from the police, unless we're looking for you. We did have a lot of man hours, staff hours put in the search. We had 17 or 18 officers out there for 10 or 12 hours searching areas for her. So it's very expensive for us. The rest of the city would suffer for this because we pour a lot of resources into a missing child, and we want things to turn out well. And we didn't do any less for this. We treated it as if it were something major, and it turned out to be not that.
Yeah, that was going to be the next thing I asked. Tell me a little bit about the funds and resources that went into this search.
The fund comes out of general revenue. It's just overtime budget for the police department, and we threw a ton of resources into this, so it's very expensive, and we would do it again. It's just something you have to do. You can't assume that she's a runaway. She was a runaway. You just have to assume, work for the worst case scenario and pray for the best.
So if you could give kind of a message to maybe teens that are thinking about taking the same course of action she is, evading her parents, hiding from the police, what would you tell them?
Well, I would say, man up and go home. That's the best thing to do. It can only get worse from the point where the police become involved. Your parents are terribly worried. She put her mom and dad through a lot of stress unnecessarily, and she should have taken responsibility, personal responsibility, and gone home. She found out, even if she didn't find out we were looking for her, until you're 18 years old, you're really not truly separated from your parents.
Okay, so then just tell me a little bit again about what the next step is in terms of this case.
The investigation will continue so we can tie up some loose ends. If we find out people were helping her, there's possible charges. If they're adults, they would go to Cole County Jail and be charged to the state. If they're juveniles, they'd be taken to the Juvenile Detention Center, and the state would file charges on them as a juvenile.
And then I know you said that they were both, her and the young man, you can't confirm whether that's her boyfriend or not? Boyfriend next.
He's a juvenile, so I'm limited on how much I can say about him. I know that they're friends. He was a boyfriend and he was an ex-boyfriend. It doesn't really matter,
But that man is the boyfriend or ex-boyfriend?
We are questioning him more.
Okay. And they're still being held there?
As far as I know, they're still in Juvenile Detention Center.
And then from there, they'll determine whether there's charges or what else they'll do.
A lot of the stuff after they're turned over to juvenile authorities, we don't even know about because it's a closed record, and so we may not find out what happens to them. And it doesn't matter; they're safe. She's safe. He's being talked to, and that will determine what happens or what we request from the juvenile authorities. So. And him being a juvenile, or both of them being a juvenile, we're kind of limited on what we can tell you about that.